to my YouTube channel, and today I will be taking up the topic origin of the English theatre. Yesterday we have discussed origin of the English drama. So when it comes to English theatre, we have to discuss about the companies of the actors first. So, with the passage of time, the drama had established itself as the royal court and in the household of the nobility, who maintained a regular body of actors to entertain them from time to time. See, good actors have always been in demand for a good drama and good theatre. For the people at large, there were companies, itinerant players who, for want of permanent theatres, wandered from place to place, performing in town halls, marketplaces, or in yard. In order to satisfy the provision of an Elizabethan Act of Parliament, which declares that all players who did not belong to the household of some people of rank or were not licensed by two magistrates were to be regarded as rogue and vagabonds. They had to shelter themselves under the name of some nobles as the official title of their companies. For example, the Lord Chamberlain servant, the Lord Admiral's men, and the like. So these were the company for under which category they have to kind of register themselves. So this was fairly easy, as noble were not wanting to. Who allowed their names to be used to patronize the growing art. The favorite resorts of such players were the London inns, uh, which, beside providing them with a ready audience, could easily be used in a theatre. See, in those days, inn were also used as theatre because of the lack of resources. Their spacious yards afforded an almost ideal place for their performances. The yard was usually surrounded on three sides by the inn building with an open gallery running round the upper floor. This accommodated the more important visitors while the rest of the audience stood about the yard. So there was not closed auditorium such like that in those days. The stage, which was only a platform supported on trestles, uh, which was erected in the middle. So, the authorities of the City of London, however, strongly opposed such performance because they knew people from their work offered opportunities to pickpockets and thieves, and might lead to disorder. So there were also many negative points, negative things related with it, as people who went to watch these drama left their work, so they were work were undone, and there were also opportunities for the people who were pickpockets to steal money from the pockets of the people, and there were many other disorders like that. The player therefore had to move outside the city boundaries. They favored the neighboring borough of Southwark, Warwick, because it has famous inn, including the Tabard, which is very famous, and it has been figured in Chaucer Canterbury Tales as well, and was just across the river from London and free from its restrictions. So there was not these kind of restriction there in Tabard. uh, Here, the drama evolved by experience, a theatre suited to its needs. So, Tabard has also contributed in the development of English theatre by providing a favorable atmosphere for the actors to perform, and the director and everything to regulate to perform their play in a fine way. So now let us discuss the permanent structure of the English theatre. Southwark, however, had not the distinction of possessing the earliest of the permanent playhouses, for the first of three, which was called the Theatre, and was set up in Shoreditch, north of the city, in 1576. It was soon followed by another, the Curtain, and eight more were constructed in linked succession, all outside the municipal limits of London. In design, they bore a very close resemblance to the inn yard they were meant to supplant. but the closed space was sometimes circular or octagonal instead of being rectangular. This space, which came to be known as the pit, was open to the weather and was surrounded on all sides uh, by rows of galleries roofed over with thatch or tiles. From one side of it, the stage projected. It was open except at the back, where three doors led to three rooms, one in the middle called the inner stage, which could serve as a cave, a bedroom, a shop, and the like, and one on the either side used as dressing room. So this was the structure of it. Above these forming their roof was an upper stage which could serve as a balcony. For example, in the plays like Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet, and in Juliet or Jessica in The Merchant of Venice, or these all are, Merchant of Venice is also a famous Shakespearean comedy, or Ostrom as in Julius Caesar, another Shakespearean tragedy, or the Battlement of Castle as in Shakespeare history play Research 3. So, because Shakespeare has done so much of extensive work, he has written tragedies, he has written comedies, history plays, tragicomedy. So, whenever anything is drama or theater is discussed, the Shakespeare we all give the example of Shakespearean drama because of their fine structure and everything of quality. The most famous of these early theatre was The Rose, where the celebrated actor Edward Allen appeared in Marlowe play and The Globe in Southwark. Shakespeare Wooden O, where he himself was one of the company and where his masterpiece was first performed. In those days, performance was more famous than reading. People were more interested in watching the plays than in reading those plays. Most of the theatre catered for the ordinary public, but there were a few like the Blackfriar, which were smaller, roofed over, and lit by artificial light. The performance here were not dependent upon the weather and as in the other place houses, and could be given at all time of the day. The price charged were sufficiently high to reserve these theatre for the more prosperous classes. So this was the structure of the theatre of those in that era. And now coming to Elizabethan stage condition. What was the condition of stage during Elizabethan era? The first regular theatre of Queen Elizabeth's time, though a decided improvement on the inn yard, fell far short of what a modern playgoer would expect. See, before this, we have to understand that the age of Shakespeare, the Elizabethan age is considered as golden age in the history of English literature, because the Queen Elizabeth has done tremendous work in all the field, including literature. She patronized literature, and she gave such an atmosphere in her reign that it was very conducive for the writer to write peacefully. The main stage being open, merely a platform jutting out into the floor space. The front contained was the front curtain was unknown, which made it necessary for every actor to enter instead of being discovered on the stage. In the first scene of Act 2 of Richard II, the original stage direction read, Enter John of Gauntsick. Then modern edition of the play have altered it to Gaunt on a couch, which is at least more in keeping with reality. Uh, Theatrical scenery was unknown, and a card usually hung on the pillars supporting the upper stage indicated the scene of action. A change of scene was quickly brought about by putting up another card and carrying on to the stage any piece of furniture, etc., that might be required. A tree, see, there is a book by Nicole, British drama. One should read it to understand the background of British drama and each and everything related with the British drama. If anybody is doing research in the field of drama, then she should read this book. So, a tree in a tub might symbolize a forest, a bed wheeled in might suggest a chamber, a flaring torch might suggest in warmth of a June sun, the darkness of a cavern. What could not be conveyed by such mean had to be explained in appropriate speeches in the play itself. So, speeches were very important, which thus form uh, a special feature of the Elizabethan drama. The famous dialogue between Lorenzo and Jessica at the opening of Act 5 in The Merchant of Venice is clearly intended to convey to the audience the full effect of the moonlight that could not be represented. Duncan's speech at the beginning of the scene 6th of Act 1 of Macbeth. Again, we are taking the example of Shakespearean tragedy and comedy. The Merchant of Venice is Shakespearean comedy, and Macbeth is Shakespearean tragedy. So there is a famous dialogue in the opening scene of Act 5 in The Merchant of Venice, which is a fine example where which is clearly intended, which is to show the audience uh, what the playwright want to convey. And again, in the Duncan speech in the beginning of scene 6th of Act 1, when he say that this castle had a pleasant seat, etc., serves a similar purpose. So here also dramatists want to convey the message of Macbeth. This the limitation of the stage is those days are frankly admitted to in the prologue to Henry V. Now Henry V is also a history play by Shakespeare, where in it the spectator are called upon to use their imagination to make up for its shortcomings. So there are some shortcomings in this where the audience or spectator have to imagine by themselves. Elizabethan audience loved brisk action, stirring declamation, the tragic and the horrific, and the broadly comic. They enjoyed violent stage effect, thunder and lightning, drums and trumpet, alarm and battle cries, and the demonstration of physical skills like wrestling, bout, and swordplay, which were performed by expert. Uh, the fool or clown was a highly popular figure on the stage, a natural development of the vice of the moralities. He embodied the spirit of genial humor and droll philosophy ingrained in the English character. If he sang to the accompaniment of his pipe and tabor, he would appeal all the more, for the Elizabethan delighted in music, as one may see by the use made of it in Shakespeare play. Their favorite instrument were the lute, the fiddle, the bass, viol the gamboy, which is was being held between the leg, the hautboy, and the other variety of the flute and the bagpipe. So these were the instrument used in those days. Some are not used just now. So money was spent lavishly on the actor costume, which were those of their own period, whatever the play, without regard to historical propriety. There were no women player. The female so in those days this was a stigma that women didn't perform in the theater, and the role of women were played by men. Even in India also, in many parts of the country, mostly in the villages, in Ram Leela or other such traditional drama or performance, the part of women is played by men. So things are changing now in India. The part were all acted by boys or clean-shaven men who were better paid than the rest of their more difficult tasks. It was left for the Restoration Theatre in the second half of the 17th century to bring actress upon the stage. So the actress started performing, or the female characters started performing the stage in the 17th century till 16th century. They did not get the chance, or they were not allowed, or they themselves not participate. So this is also a matter of discussion. So now I would like to read the messages. There is BP Singh 1. He's saying how hi, and can you repeat? This will be this is live, and it will be uploaded on my channel. You can watch it later. And you are asking about the main cause of Alexander death. Please tell me which Alexander is. Alexander the Great, or is Alexander of any drama, character of any drama? And then there is a message by Abhi, I cannot read it. Anybody who is commenting on my videos, please keep your comment as per the community guidelines of the YouTube, because I will definitely report it. Abhigyan novel Akbar. I cannot read your message, whatever it is, because it is hidden. So I hope there is no others thing. So thank you everyone. This was my today's topic, origin of the English drama, and tomorrow I will be discussing about Shakespeare. About Shakespeare. First I will be taking about the some notes on Shakespeare, and then classification of his play, and in that I will be taking Shakespearean comedy. So thank you.